tuning in to Turn to the Stars. Today is Friday, November 6th, and I'm going to be talking about the Venus opposite Mars that's happening in this universal chart, which is in an implying aspect right now. And we've actually got quite a few planets in opposition right now. We have, first of all, the moon today is in an opposition to the Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn conjunction of planets all in Capricorn. And that is actually going to be exact by 6:25 tonight. So oppositions, as you heard me talk about before, we've got a lot of this opposing opinions, division, disagreements. There's actually three major oppositions that we're experiencing right now. Actually four, if you want to consider Mercury retrograde. It's actually not retrograde anymore, but Mercury's after shadow, because it's going to oppose Uranus once again. But so we've basically got Venus opposite Mars, which is going to be exact by Monday, November 9th. Venus represents the feminine, and Venus is in Libra. It's a beautiful place for Venus to be. However, it is, and the reason why it's so beautiful there is because Venus is the symbol of the feminine. It is a symbol of security. It's a symbol of our sense of security, and it really governs relationships. Its energy influence is around relationships, and in Libra, it's a beautiful place for it to be because Venus itself is the ruler of Libra. So there's this really nice placement. It's in a ruling sign. So Libra is all about the balance, about harmony, about working things out, being diplomatic, being fair. And then we've got Mars, the god of war, the god of masculine, the masculine sign. And it is in Aries, and it's retrograde, and you've got these two strong forces that are opposing each other here. And so it can be a signature of people coming together to work things out, but it also can be a symbol of division. It also can be a symbol of people just being in competition in relationships. It's, as I was preparing the show today, I was looking at some history also, and I wanted to call this show The Wars of the World, because if you look at every time Pluto and Saturn came together, there was some type of, like 1768, we had military occupation here from England, and we also had there's just some really strong indicators here of some powerful opposing forces that are at work. There's so much going on in this chart that it is hard to, I could sit here for hours and hours and hours and talk to you about what's going on energetically, and I would say that the planets out in our solar system are having some major conversations, major league disagreements. If you want to look at it that way, major league disagreements. So Venus is having a disagreement right now with Mars, Aries, the god of war. We have the Sun, which in ancient times would have been Apollo, in opposition to Uranus. And Uranus was, now I'm not recalling exactly, but Uranus is associated with sudden, unexpected events. I see a picture of, we had a tree in our backyard, got hit by lightning. And it was an old tree, and it just went right over. So, the sun is in a separating opposition right now from Uranus, but still we have that, it's like it's moving away. So that energy is starting to break down. The sun is our spirit, our health, our well-being, our vitality, our will. So there is some level of this opposition, which is good news, which is moving away. We also have, like I said, we have let's see, Mercury. Mercury is going to come back to oppose Uranus one more time. And so there's we've got 4 oppositions going on. And so it's a lot of division, and if we were as a country meant to be divided, it's united we stand, not divided we fall. That's definitely a theme that's going on universally. And there's a cardinal cross that is squared off tonight. That's going to be is going to be activated, and that'll be tonight as well. But it's just a lot of concern about our future. And I tend to think I can be a bit of a Pollyanna and think that with the age of Aquarius, things are going to be so different, and they are going to be very different, because Aquarius is about everybody working together. And there's a community here in Florida, it's the Villages, and all the houses look alike. And when I first went there, I thought to myself, this is utopia. And utopia is, I think there's a book out there called Utopia, but I had a vision in my head of what looked like a community of unitedness. And I know there's the division there of, Republican and Democrat as well, but we as a country really would benefit by slowing down and considering how we can come together on these things that we are so divided on, because truly that is what opposition is about. Opposition, typically when I'm reading somebody's chart and I see a planet that's going to oppose, like a major planet like Pluto, some of the far out planets, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, if they're going to oppose a planet in your chart, that's going to be a very powerful experience. It means there's outside forces going to be involved, and you're either going to make a decision to work things out, and you're both going to have this incredible awareness of each other and your differences and your likeness. So there was something that I found this morning as I was trying to create some room on my phone, running out of space, and I wanted to read it, and it's because it's very inspiring. One of the changes you may be feeling right now is that you want to be with people who see you, the real you, all of you, those who get your fullness. It's no longer about hanging with people you know just because you know them or have been in their lives for years. It's being with those who understand all of your layers and dimensions. They see your journey with deeper eyes. And honestly, that is so what's coming for all of us. We're finding our people. We're finding the people that are of like minds. And we also, you know, I thought that would be very inspiring today, because we also, at the same time as we have all these opposing forces, we also have a grand trine in, you can see this triangle, grand trine in water. And that's happening between the moon, Neptune, and the sun. So the moon is representative of our emotions, our unconscious reactions, and it's in the sign of Cancer, which is the nurturer, the caregiver, the one that takes care of its family, loves its home, and loves to have, you know, the family all together. Cancer is one of the caregivers of the zodiac, and it's also the sign that rules the United States sun sign. And so it's trining. Trine means that there's this beautiful conversation it's having with the sun today in Scorpio. So there's this depth of sensitivity, but it's actually very beautiful, because a grand trine in water is one of the most sensitive symbols in a chart of somebody that has great sensitivity, great compassion, great understanding, is very good at nurturing other people, is very caring. And the sun in Scorpio is, the spirit is shining down on us of change, of transformation. And so there's this influence of Pluto, that is, Pluto's the most powerful planet of all in our solar system, because it is the planet that can take something and it takes it on a journey of, basically, of death and then rebirth. But there's also this, it's the only planet that can regenerate. The energy can be regenerated, like our liver. Our liver is able to regenerate. So if they, you know, need to remove part of your liver, it's able to grow back. So Pluto's energy is like that in Scorpio. So there's this powerful sensitivity in the world right now of being able to detect what needs to be eliminated and what needs to die so that it can be regenerated. And then we have Neptune. So the sun and moon are both trining Neptune also. And Neptune is the planet of illusion. It's also the planet of unconditional love. And so today's a great day to show the people in your life that you're connected to, that you care about. And even as, you know, if you're out and it's a stranger, be kind. Because what you put out is, in oppositions are, what you put out is what you get back. And so it's very important for us to be aware of that. I remember being at a seminar years ago. Robert Hand was teaching in Boston, and he asked for people if they would share charts, you know, birth charts, their birth charts or whoever's. And there was a lady that stood up and she offered her grandchild's chart, and her grandchild had this exact configuration in it of a cardinal cross squared off, just like we have shown up in today's chart. And that is this right here and right here. It's a grand cardinal cross squared off. And so she asked Robert Hand what would be his best advice for her and for her daughter in raising their grandchild. And he said, be very careful, very, very careful of how you treat this child, because it will, however you treat him will be how he ends up treating other people. And our life, you know, our lives are molded from the day we're born, and even before then, our soul carries energy of of our soul's memories from lives lived before. So Robert Hand's advice was be very careful, treat this child with tender, loving care, and always talk to them about being aware of other people and that their differences to them. So compassion, generosity, Neptune, generosity, compassion, understanding. We do know that we're in a Neptune fog right now, all of us. With Neptune squaring the North Node and the South Node, we're really not clear on which direction we're going to be going in, and this is going to last for a bit of time. And I did want to add that Mars is going to, in the middle of December, Mars is going to make its third square with Pluto first, then Jupiter, then Saturn. And that is a very, very powerful square. One of the most dangerous aspects in astrology is Mars squaring Pluto. There is such power. A square is a challenge, it's obstacles, it's showing us where growth is going to come. A Mars squaring Pluto can also be very powerful in a very positive way if it can be understood that all of the frustration, and if they can channel that frustration into positive avenues and go slow enough, and I'm talking about us as a world, if we can channel this energy into, working hard together to bring about change, it will make a difference. And I'm kind of a cheerleader when I work with my clients. It's my North Node in Leo right next to Venus. Especially young adults, because we all need somebody to cheer us on, and I think that's part of my role in life. And so basically, I think that my message today is that find ways to collaborate, find ways to consider where someone else is at this time. Find ways to slow down and say, maybe that's what this appears like, but that's not what it is. And then later on you find out, rather than reacting. Mars in Aries wants to take charge, wants to move. It's going to wake up I believe it's next Saturday, the 14th. And so we're all going to feel a shift. We're all going to feel a shift energetically like we felt around September 9th when it went retrograde. So I am going to call this, what we've got going on right now is basically a war in the cosmos, but we also have a lot of support. It's a war, but it doesn't have to be a war. It can be worked out. It's through our connections that we learn about who we are. It's through our relationships. It's through how we relate to other people and how they relate to us, how we learn, how we grow. And so I would rather not call it war, but I would have to say, let's call it coming together. This is a time of coming together. And I also have one more thing I wanted to share with you before I finish, because currently we have Chiron in Aries. And Chiron was in Aries back in during the time of the Revolutionary War. And in 1768, Mars was retrograde in Aries. In 1941, Mars was in Aries. And these are all times Aries energy is so much about the self. And Aries is ruled by Mars. So typically that energy is very active, reactive, on a mundane level, and on a evolutionary level, I would say more of an evolutionary astrology standpoint. The best possible energy when a person who's in Aries becomes more aware of who they are, and they evolved. Typically, they're going to engage their mind before their foot or their hand or their mouth, their words. I wanted to read you something I wrote a long time ago, and it's a cognitive exercise for all of us right now, because Chiron is in Aries, and so we're all working through some areas of pain, of woundedness. And so wherever this is transiting in your chart, it would be nice to know. It's nice to know where your birth Chiron is too, because indirectly, wherever Chiron is, it's also triggering your birth Chiron. So here's what I wrote, and here's what I share with people when I work with them that have Chiron in Aries. So feelings of woundedness come through a sense of self, or you as a person has been violated in some way, which can manifest in feelings of worthlessness and or that nothing is quite good enough. Part of the healing with Chiron in this place is in learning to assert yourself and to be more assertive in appropriate actions to solve situations. Another part of the healing with this Chiron is in learning to appreciate yourself and others just for who you are and who they are. So you may have a tendency to be more self-sabotaging in your thought patterns. So it is so important to realize that thoughts are very powerful and that you get back what you put out. Intentions are so powerful. It's just so important. We all have this Chiron in Aries. So the gift of Chiron in Aries is in realizing your self-worth and loving yourself for who you are inside. And because we're all in this huge cycle of healing old wounds, areas that have been painful throughout our lives, there are certain things that you can do to support the healing side. And so there's certain scents that you want to keep around you, which are frankincense and myrrh, sandalwood, cedarwood, clove, ormanus flower, neroli, juniper, Roman chamomile, and geranium. These are all very helpful toward the feelings of feeling better, of instilling the healing side rather than the pain, than feeding into the pain. And here are some cognitive exercises, and if you want to send me an email, I'd be glad to share some of this with you. So write down these, like I said, these are cognitive exercises. So get some paper and write down on a list areas of your life where you feel you're valuable. And this is something that's ongoing. So once you write this out, just keep adding to it as you think about it, because you are going through the process of healing by doing these exercises. So it's very powerful. Now, the second part of this is write down how that value helps you and helps others. I think everybody in the world right now is trying to find themselves, that there's things changing. They're wanting to change what it is that they do. They're tired of doing what society says you should do this. Society says you should go out and work every day and be, somebody of status. Well, there's so many people that just go to work, they don't like what they do, and they're to the point right now where that can't happen anymore. We're all experiencing awakening of who we really are and what it is that we desire. So the next part of this is write down times when others have treated you badly. Very important to identify those times only for, you know, your awareness and your realization so that you don't repeat those old patterns. Now for each item on the above list, write down how that experience helped you learn how to assert yourself and realize how valuable you really are. So as you work through this cognitive exercise, you can find the key to healing is in realizing how very valuable you are as a person, and that positive assertive responses bring healing. This helped me so much when I was writing these, because I have never been a person who, especially growing up when I was young, I would always keep my thoughts, my ideas, to myself, because for fear of being put down or said, that's crazy, that doesn't make sense, or that's not valuable. So writing these exercises really helped me a lot to learn how to be assertive. And I'm somebody who's always done things the opposite way. I was born backwards. So my poor mom, born backwards, and when I went through my education for shamanic healing work with my dear friend Julianne Santini, who taught me, we had a celebration at the end of the classes. It was a lot of education. I went all the way through all the different, learning all the different methods for shamanic healing. And we had a fire ceremony. It was a huge group of us gathered, and we had this big fire, huge fire, and it was so nice to feel so appreciated and celebrated for the work I'd done. It was just me and one other lady that completed the education, because it was intense. It's a lot of learning and processing, and when it was my turn we had to dance around the fire as part of our celebration, and when it came my turn, I went the way that I thought I should go, and it turned out that Daniel, the firekeeper, said to Judy, whose property it was where we had the celebration, she's going the wrong way. He said, she's going the wrong way, and Judy told him, no, she's going her way. She's doing it her way. She's a Hyoka. And I learned a lot from Judy. I learned a lot from her about my always wanting to do things the opposite from the way society says you should do it. And so I don't know if you call that a rebel, but for me, that's natural. So everyone, I would really like to recommend that you do some of this inner work right now. Be kind to each other. Love your families. Love the people that are like your family. Today's a great day for showing that love and putting it out there. And I want to just remind you about a class I have coming up, which actually starts next week, November 14th. It's a Saturday. And for people that are students in school, or you work all week long, or if you just want to learn how to interpret an astrology chart, this is the greatest class. And I actually am going to have one of my students, tomorrow we're going to make a video, and she wants to share her experience. It's we've had a great class going on for we've got one more week for the 8th week for the these classes really give you a foundation for astrology interpretation, and It's an 8-week class. It's 50% discounted from what I normally would charge for these classes. It's on Zoom. It's interactive. You get a recording of the classes, so if you can't attend, if something unexpected comes up and you can't attend, you get a recording, and so you can listen to it and you can still go through the learning, and you get my PDFs, which is my book called The Language of Astrology. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to turn to the stars, and you'll find your answers there. And there's a saying my daughter taught me a while ago, and it's a Latin phrase, and it's cura ut valias. It means take care you're well. Take care that you are well. So I'm going to leave you with that, and thanks for tuning in. Thank you for your support, and I will see you again very